Welcome to This Week in Guns, a podcast that covers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. Brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challen, president of Firearms Radio and host of Gun Guy Radio. And you make this show possible. That's right, you simply click through our Amazon affiliate link the next time you're shopping online, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. Well, we have a great panel this week. We have Adam Kraut, Firearms Industry Consulting Group, a division of Prince Law Offices. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Jake. It's good to be back. How are you doing?
Doing great. Should have had you last week. We had so many legal stories.
It's better. I'm not on those weeks.
Yeah. And we have Josh Cass, Four Guys Guns. Hey, Josh.
Wait.
Hey, Jake. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
I thought we were using the code name. I didn't know we used his real names here.
Code name,
Whitey. I wouldn't have never said your real name. I didn't know.
No, it all depends on what banner I put this week, I guess, because I don't know.
And code names. Okay, we have Suzanne Summers, MS Clean Kits, and former Marine sniper. Hey, Peter, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
And you're like our most requested return guest, I guess. Well, actually, that's not how people phrase it. People say, "Did Peter Palmer get banned from This Week in Guns?"
I'm surprised that never happened. In fact, I think the very first word on this night's podcast, I'll have to go back and watch it, is I saw the live thing came up, and then I said the S word. Like I saw, S, we are live. So we'll have to see.
What?
I think, check it. Time, what's that?
Great.
Time hack?
Time stamp.
Time hack.
Time warp.
Time warp.
I mean, let's do the time warp. Okay.
And Patriot Patch Company makes this episode of This Week in Guns possible. PatriotPatch.co. Go over there and you can pre-order the Huckleberry Patch and order your everyday carry tactical EDC spoon. And also the 4-pack of patriotic flags is also up there for pre-order. So check that out. PatriotPatch.co. We are to the top stories this evening. Chicago holiday violence, the 4th of July violence. 9 killed, at least 47 wounded. I saw some accounts as high as 52 wounded, but it was better than last year, apparently. And I don't know, did anyone tell the thugs in Chicago that there's no guns and yeah, it's safe? I saw somewhere that the Chicago police commissioner or whatever said that we need stricter gun laws in the city of Chicago.
I mean, I didn't realize they was that violent in Chicago. Like you're near there. I remember I almost visited you when I was coming across the country to go up here. I've never been to Chicago. Is it like Detroit or? I mean, like how? That's a lot of people that die.
No, it's not ran down like Detroit. It's just. I mean, there's a lot of gang violence in some very select, few areas. I mean, if you look at the crime map, it's all, oriented in just a few areas. I mean, for the most part, it's not bad.
The article, reading it says that McCarthy, who's McCarthy? The police superintendent, McCarthy, he said that at least this year alone, at least 12 people have already been arrested on their second gun possession charge and then released. So there's an issue right there if they're trying to enforce an already existing law and then allowing people to just go free to commit crime again. I don't know. I don't think more laws are going to solve the problem. I think enforcing some of the ones that are in place would be helpful, but also it would strike me that there's a very big moral dilemma or problem where these people just don't value human life. And I don't know how you fix that because laws certainly aren't going to do that.
Right. It's a much deeper issue and more complicated. And they just, take the easy way out, blame the guns.
Well, you brought up a very good point there, Adam. And I saw it once, and I should have saved it or bookmarked it or something. But there was a report once upon a time back when Chirac was literally like just number one day after day, week after week, month after month. And there was literally a study done showing actual gun crimes and actual gun prosecutions. And it was so staggeringly opposite, where it's like, they could bring in 25 people a day, 100 people a day, just to get a nice big round number, 100 people a day for a gun crime, but they were only literally processing like 2. So either somebody flipped on somebody else, or they plead down, or it's like no one was actually getting fully prosecuted for the crime they were committing, whether it be murder or attempted murder, homicide, manslaughter, whatever it may be involved with a firearm. They were not getting prosecuted. Everyone was either pleading down or, ratting somebody out or something like. To this day, I still can't find that actual article or chart, but so therefore everything I just said is hearsay, I guess. But that's what I'm gathering is the case out there, is that it's not a matter of there being enough laws. We all know there's plenty of laws in Chicago. It's just a matter of they're not actually doing anything about it.
I still think that's only part of the problem. I think the other part of the problem is how do you fix it? Because if all you do is enforce a law where you're jailing people constantly for committing violent crime, and say those people serve enough time in jail that when they go back to the street, they're no longer involved in that lifestyle, which we know isn't necessarily always the case. But what about the next generation, and the next generation, and the next generation?
Well,
you got to fix it at the root. And that becomes more than just a law. That becomes a whole host of other problems and approaches and things that nobody wants to even have that conversation. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
They started fixing it in the best way they could have. They started enabling concealed carry again, and then Darwinism will help curb.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point, because here in Louisiana, we incarcerate more people per capita than any place on the face of the planet. Right, so we have like more people in jail in America per person than anywhere, and a lot, and there's still tons of gun violence and things like that. But there's areas where there's this violence, and most everybody is armed, either be it good or bad, legally or illegally, and I know a couple people that have gotten into shootings in Louisiana, and it doesn't end well for the criminal generally. So, there's only one way to deal with somebody with a firearm who doesn't value human life, and that is somebody with a firearm who does value their life and the people's lives around them.
So it says 3,400 illegal guns have been confiscated so far this year in the the city of Chicago, according to the police department. So 3,400.
That's a lot of high points.
Illegal guns. I mean, the guns aren't illegal. The people that have them are felons. So they've confiscated 3,400 guns from people that have felony convictions, is how I read this.
Yeah, and the dude who, I guess in the article they said, the guys who, their child was killed. A child was killed that weekend, and the target was the father, who was a known gang member, and even the police chief just dropped the dime on him. Is like, he is not helping with the investigation, and so like, even though people's children are dying, which is horrible, no matter what your profession is, whether you're a drug dealer or a lawyer. Even that's not really helping it out. So, and if they confiscated that many guns, I mean, I don't know what to do. I'm glad it's not my problem to solve. That's for one thing.
Leland Yee may roll on more Democrats with the guilty plea. We talked about this last week. California Congress was smuggling rocket launchers and stuff, and he may roll on some of his colleagues, it sounds like.
Good.
He's gonna get murdered.
Yeah, that was my thought too. He's gonna die.
How awesome would it be if somebody killed him with a rocket launcher?
Why
doesn't that happen more? Oh my God! Why isn't there rocket launcher violence in Chicago? That would be interesting. Maybe somebody would start caring.
I want to see Homicide roll up to that one. Well, get the squeegee, because we don't know what happened here.
This guy's either going to die or spend well, he's going to get a plea deal if he rolls on people, but he, it's funny because he was pretty vocal about nobody else being able to have guns and stuff, and lo and behold, here we are. I don't know.
Political
Kim
favors.
Kardashian demands tighter gun laws.
Do we even have to talk about her?
Why is this news?
Can I please ask that we just continue on?
Yeah, really.
Does anybody disagree? Like, I'd rather not
Kenny
even.
and Corey, I'm calling out
I just
my,
want to make the point that this is the first time that Colin Noir has ever had to do this. I mean, he didn't even have to stretch to make a Kardashian to gun reference. He didn't have to stretch or put in any effort. It was just boom. There it is.
Didn't he pop
all
up?
All we need now is Fred wearing Jordans, and we're there. That's all we need. Is Kim Kardashian wearing Jordans and holding a gun, and Colin Noir, my day's done, punching out early.
Are they dating now?
No, it's just one of those.
Okay.
She's news because we let her, and you know what? Everyone was right. We should have just moved on.
All right. Vets and patriots show up to defend Old Glory at a flag-burning rally.
Is this that dude got punched in the face with the flag itself? Because that was epic.
I didn't see that. Is it?
This dude saves it from the fire and then picks up and like jams it down the throat of the damn patchouli stink hippie. Just like, what's up, dude? And she's awesome. It was awesome. You should watch it.
I watched the video. I didn't see that part happen. I saw the one guy says, "I'm an anarchist and I'm a communist." That's what the guy said. Literally in the same part. I mean, if you watch the video, it really was like a lose-lose situation. Like you had, like, of course, the blind sheeple from the left just being like, "Man, you know, I'm a hipster and I like blah blah blah." You know what I mean? And it's just like, "Oh my God, you're a retard." And then I'm not supposed to say that word. Sorry, you're an idiot. And then on the other side, you have like the fat American being like, "America's the best country in the world." Woo! It's really not. Like, you only say that because you're here, right? It's like if you were from Sweden, I'm sure they think their country is better than America. You know what I mean? Maybe some countries don't. Like, if you're in Sierra Leone, they probably are like, "Man, this country really sucks, and America's better." But I mean, it really was. And if I let them burn the flag, I don't really care about the flag. It's like you fought for, or whatever you did for freedom. Like, I want a free country more than anything. Like, I want people to be able to go burn the flag if they want to, and not be accosted by police or government or veterans for that matter. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather them be able to burn the flag and not be accosted than anything else. You know, like, I'm about freedom above all. Like, who cares? It's a piece of nylon from China anyways. All right, let them burn it. Who cares? I don't like people telling me what you can and cannot do. And especially as a veteran, you're there for freedom. You know, and the freedom of the burn the flag is there it is. So, I mean, to hold it, be like, people died for this flag. No, they didn't. You joined the Marines because you wanted to kill people, and you got there, and you had a bunch of buddies, and for whatever reason you went there. You didn't go to war for a flag. All right? That's how I feel about it.
And I thought I was going to risk sounding unpopular with what I was going to say, but no, I mean,
Go ahead, Adam.
I agree with Peter 100%. You know, it's you have a protected right to speech, and that includes burning the flag. Do I agree with that stance? No, but I think anybody that has joined the military and fought for freedom, as so many of them like to claim they have, and they have done, they've served their country, you've done it for that person has the right to do it. You don't have to agree with it, but it's their right to free speech, just like it's your right to disagree with them. And I think for somebody to forcibly stop someone from expressing themselves and then accost them it's no better than that being a not protected form of speech. But I don't know. I agree with what Peter said. That'll be the summation of that.
I'm troubled by all of
That's
this.
the first time a lawyer's ever said that in the history of time. They
So,
agree.
in Brattleboro, Vermont, I could strip down and put a bow tie on my schwartz, and I could walk around wearing nothing but a smile, a bow tie on my schwartz, and a shotgun, and it's totally legal. Totally legal, and it's my right to do so. Does that mean it should be done? That's where common sense and your moral obligation to the rest of the community around you in that town, in that state, in that country should sound off a little bell in your head. Now, is it your right? Did you fight in the military for people to have that right? Absolutely. And I don't disagree with that one bit. Yes, it should be your right. But should you do it? And that's where people get pissed off, including myself. I know guys that are still out there right now that have a flag strapped to their gear. All camo, can't see, except for the big American flag strapped to their gear. Because that, the symbolism of that, and why they're over there, whether it be for, if you want to simplify it to hell and say it's because of money, it's because of they want to kill people, or because they have that. That's their thing. That's the piece of home. That's what represents. And that's what means so much to so many people in so many different ways. So you're right. Is it their legal, capability, or is it their legal, is it okay for them to do it? Yes. Should it be done? I'm not going to sit here and get on that bandwagon.
So in that scenario, are you saying that I should tackle you, Whitey, and take you out? Because it shouldn't be
Good
done.
luck with that, sir. There's a lot of meat here. There's a lot of meat.
Only if he's wearing a bow tie.
I was just in World of Firepower magazine. You could see all of the ham hocks that is my rear end in the prone trying to shoot long range. You get a good idea of that meat.
I wish I hadn't
really
heard any
feeling
of that.
froggy.
Maine becomes a 7th constitutional carry state. So
Hooray!
that's in your neck of the woods, Whitey.
Maine's a state?
It is. That's actually really good news for me.
So yeah.
Did you want to keep going with that? Or?
Oh yeah, I posted this on our Facebook page, and Ryan Machat, he's a host of Handgun Radio. He lives in Maine. He said, "Yep, the governor signed it and then rode home on a moose."
Really?
Nice. Wouldn't surprise me.
Wait, no, you can't ride moose. Mooses.
I don't know. That drunk guy did it in that video.
That's right.
So Adam, what does constitutional carry mean?
Well, it would mean that your constitutional right is the only permit you need. So, provided that you're not a prohibited person, you can carry a gun without a permit or a license, depending upon what your state calls it.
That means I can drive from New Hampshire. I'm posing. I can see. Look, we're posing. So I can drive up to Maine because Maine's that way. I can drive up Maine, appendix carry. I can get out of the car, and I'm still legal. I love it. That's where Weapon Craft's located. That's where my buddy Nick works. So usually I used to have to take it off at the border and put it in the covert spot, but now I can just get out of the car and be like, pistols everywhere. Just like that, Peter. I see you getting excited.
I can't really carry a gun anymore, but it's whatever.
Why not?
Well, the plant we're on is a federal whatever.
Yeah, don't do that.
Technically a port, you know what I mean? And so you can't, whatever.
He doesn't want to be a prohibited person for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Prohibited. Peter, are you excited? Are you excited, though? So if you go to Maine, you can do it.
I was in Maine once. It was cool, but I probably will die never stepping foot in there again. Not because I don't like it, just because, who knows? Maybe I'll end up there, but it's cool, though. I really like about the article is they took lines and they X'd out the old rule that sucked, and they're like, squeak, and they wrote in what they wanted. I'm like, you could have just retyped it. You didn't have to whatever.
Redact it.
Yeah, it's no, forever we're gonna have a line through it.
Forever.
Just to show us how dumb we were.
What if 150 years from now, it's just one after the other? It's no, you can't.
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
It's like one of those PDF documents that everybody writes stuff on.
Aries Armor, former CEO, fired, airs dirty laundry. So for people that might not remember, Aries Armor was in the news. What was it, about 6 months ago? or so when the ATF raided them because they were doing the 80% lowers. And can someone kind of refresh our memory on that instance?
Like the way they manufactured it, at one point in time it was a firearm, allegedly, and then, so the ATF went in there and just like, with or without a warrant or something, like just like opened up all their safes and took all their stuff and whatever. Does anybody ever bought anything from this company? Like any of us here?
Nope.
No.
I used to be friends with a bunch of them.
Your friends?
I used to be friends with a bunch of them, and they all one by one left or got fired by Dimitri, and now here we are.
Yeah. I mean, there's like 5,000 people who are making ARs or AR lowers, so it's like, whatever.
My understanding of the way they were manufacturing the lowers, or at least what ATF was contending that they were doing, was that ATF basically said they took a finished receiver and then backfilled it in with that clear material so you'd see where you had to mill away. Yeah. Basically, they were saying that you already finished it and you didn't mark it, and then you were just filling it in so that you could call it an 80%. Now, they claim otherwise. But, how it actually happened, I have no idea. Never been out there, never seen.
The way they made it was they actually had the preformed biscuit in like a yellow, a red, a blue, a green, and that went into the mold, and they backfilled the mold itself. So therefore, the creation process never actually machined or milled anything out. It was being filled with a mold that already had that spacer in it. So that's how Aries versus who's the other person who did get in trouble.
EP.
And why Aries.
Wasn't it EP Armory?
Yeah, and they're the ones because that's what they were doing. But listen, say what you want about Dimitri. I do respect the man because he is intelligent. He is very intelligent, dangerously so. And he will pick apart every single one of those laws, find the loophole, exploit it, expecting full on to get the ATF's full attention, and then he'll take him to court. And that's why that's still in litigation.
That sounds like a horrible idea.
Yeah. Does he have resources? Because I know somebody who does, and that's the government.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Does he have limitless resources? Because I know someone who does, the government.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I'm over
and
here.
And they all drink from the same trough.
Yeah.
I,
as far as the article is concerned, I don't know, man. Like that. I don't.
It's like a bunch of girl drama, and I don't want to distance myself from it.
I never agree with putting your personal or business stuff out there for the world to judge you on.
It reminds me of like when your best friend loses his girlfriend and he's whining to you all the time about it, and there's like he tells you every little update on what she's doing and stuff. I'm like, dude, I don't care. Like, just shut up. And that's Aries Defense or Aries Armory or whatever they're called.
Aries Armory.
Aries Armory.
Not Defense. That's a different.
They're cool-ish. And then you have like Aries Gear, which is another thing. Come on, guys, stop. It's like Aries and Spartan, and just knock it off.
Mommy, get your gun. An investigation of mothers packing heat. So this article is about a couple ladies that chose to carry concealed handguns for, to enhance their family's safety. One mother decided to because one day their school went on lockdown, and she realized how helpless she was, that her child was at school on lockdown and she couldn't do anything about it.
Even if she had a gun, she probably still couldn't do much about it.
Yeah.
How crazy would it be if there was like a school shooter and every mom ran at the school with guns?
A bunch of pissed off
that
moms.
Would be well, yeah. I'm not saying it would be bad or good. I'm just saying it would be crazy. It'd be nuts.
Yeah,
I'm very interested in this.
Well, I mean,
the one lady pulled a gun on a bum or a beggar or whatever.
Right. She was kind of accosted by a bum that she had her two little kids with her, and he wouldn't leave her alone, and she eventually pulled her weapon, but she didn't have to pull the trigger. That ended it right there, and I think I think that probably happens a lot, and we never hear about it.
They're definitely right in that the female shooters in general, not shooters, I should say, just women in general are becoming more turned on to guns and purchasing guns. I mean, there's still a lot of women that are first-time buyers that come into the shop all the time, and then there's some women that we have a pretty good relationship at the shop that are involved with like Guns for Girls or whatever that organization is, and then there's another woman that started her own like local thing that's for women with guns. So it's certainly a growing population of gun owners that are women, and I think it's a good thing.
We did an article maybe like a few months or a year back where it just talked about like the type of people who are shooters now compared to what they used to be 20 years ago, and they're like younger. There's a lot more women and there's a lot more younger people who are first-time shooters, and I mean, and you could see it in the marketing. There's tons of women there, and it just, to me, it seems like the natural progression of like, you know, obviously we're in a society where women do everything that men do, but you still are smaller in stature, and that's just the way your genes are. So the last great equalizer is like a firearm. So if I were a female, like the first thing I want is a firearm, because like now you're equal, if not better than a dude, as far as like fighting or, you know, whatever, and you're a target as a female. You know, I've been in like, I binge watch like FBI Files or like all those forensic shows, and it's like the common denominator is a woman got abducted. Oh, they found her dead body somewhere. It's like if she had a firearm, and the dude didn't even have a gun. So if she just had a gun, there'd be like just a bunch of dead abductors everywhere. Well, they would be abductors. There'd just be a bunch of dead guys everywhere. You know what I mean? That are no longer abducting people.
It's funny you say that. I saw there was somebody on Facebook posted something about like women not wanting to have that conversation about rape and how it occurs, and there were all these tips and there are things you could do. Not one of them mentioned a gun. Pepper spray was in there, but not a gun. I don't know.
This is a giant, huge generalization, and obviously it's not the same for everything, but like women are generally like more nurturing. Like I know a lot of dudes are like, yeah, we kill something. A lot of dudes hunt, but I think a lot of women would find it difficult to like take another life. I mean, regardless of what it is.
Situational.
It could be situational. Yeah, I don't know.
Because in any animal species, period, the female is always the toughest defender of their young. We make that reference every day. Mama bear, mama wolf, mama whatever, protecting her.
Well, that's
the worst thing you ever deal with aside from a wounded animal.
Seahorse. Maybe
the elusive seahorse and his cousin, the sea dragon.
Yeah.
But I mean, I rest easy with my wife and her basic knowledge of handgun operation and reloading and all that fun stuff, knowing that when it comes down to it, the female mind definitely can focus on mechanical, here's the steps that happen for X, Y, and Z to happen, and that they will not hesitate if they feel like it is a threat to my kid's life. I say like I have multiple wives. It's she.
Are you?
That's just my opinion.
Part of a cult. But you know, when whoever said about moms rushing to school if there's a school shooting, I mean, I think there were a bunch of armed moms, even, you know, if they were not very trained. I mean, they may put a quicker end to the situation than the police showing up, you know, marking everything off, waiting to go in. You know, we've seen that a few times where, you know, police just did not respond quickly at all at mass shootings.
Yeah, they're working on it. They have learned some lessons from the past. I know a lot of them are like the Baton Rouge Police Department, who I train with. You know, it's kind of like you get there, if it's an active shooter, their training is just like, you used to be, okay, there's a shooter, we'll cordon off, more people come, blah, blah, blah. If there's an active shooter where you get there and there's gunshots going off, you beeline it to the gunshots and you start shooting back. Like if you have to step over dead bodies, that's how they train them. It's just like, poof. You know what I mean? And sometimes I get to be a dead body, just like. So I mean, they're getting better, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure not all the police departments have gotten there yet. It's expensive to train, takes time. You have to get it. You have to have somebody who's on board as a leader to implement that. But
the future of open carry in California looks bright, at least according to this article about a panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Adam, have you tracked this at all?
No, I haven't, but I was perusing through the article here, and it really does bring up where we're going to go next. I have a feeling the Supreme Court said that having a gun in the home is a fundamental right, and even extending out to the curtilage, the Solicitor General of California agreed that that was part of the core right, and he's also apparently conceded that that core right extends beyond the curtilage. Now, the curtilage is usually like that immediate area right outside your home, in the simplest terms. But where the issue comes up is the Supreme Court hasn't stated that there's a fundamental right to carry a gun in public. It hasn't said that there's not. It just hasn't affirmed that. So usually when there's issues, the way the quick breakdown is for anybody who's not familiar with it is an issue in Pennsylvania arises, an issue out in California arises, an issue out in Illinois arises, and down in Florida, and it goes up through the court systems there and in the federal courts, and then the different circuits, Court of Appeals will decide cases. And once there's enough of a split between them and disagreement amongst them, the Supreme Court will then eventually, most likely, accept a case to weigh in on it so that it brings everybody back together again. And that's kind of where we're at now, and this guy's saying there's, if he loses his appeal, there'll be a clear split between the 7th and the 9th Circuit. Now, I don't know if there's other circuits that have other decisions out there that say, otherwise. It appears the 2nd, 3rd, which would be from the area I'm from, and the 4th Circuit have kind of tap danced around the issue as well. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not this will help get that up to the Supreme Court. But then again, if it does, nobody knows how the Supreme Court's going to rule anyway. So,
right. Or if they'll even take the case.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that would be the step one, if they'll even take the case, followed by if they do, how are they going to rule on it? It'll be interesting to see what happens out there, because the 9th Circuit is it's so lovingly referred to as the 9th Circus around these way parts. So they're kind of out there in their decisions, although it's been interesting to see where they've been headed with some of the gun stuff out there.
All right. Honest mistake. North Carolina tower climber arrested in New Jersey for possessing a firearm. And subtitle says this man needs a pardon. It seems to be a running theme in New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, he had to have known that New Jersey is not gun friendly. He had to have known that. They made it seem like he was just like being. You could tell who wrote it, but man, they're like, well, what any law-abiding gun citizen would do, he packed his gun and went up there. I mean, you still have to, be cautious of what the other state's laws are.
But most people aren't like us. I mean, if I think back to the people that took the concealed carry class with me, I mean, they would have no clue.
Yeah, but it's your responsibility to figure out it. Unfortunately, depending upon what it is, I guess, but ignorance of the law isn't an excuse.
Yeah, but I think
is it awful? Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's Shanine Allen had the same problem where she ended up in New Jersey and she did what the Philadelphia PD told her to do: tell the police you have a gun, and she did. And look what all the world of hurt she went through, and she's still dealing with it. So I don't know. I feel bad for this guy, but at the same time, he should have done, especially with the internet. I mean, it's kind of, the information's right there nowadays. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to him.
Didn't you ever watch the first 48? I mean, come on. That's what you really got to watch.
Man dies after shooting firework off the top of his head. I think this should have been the full auto section. I guess.
Yeah. Was he in Chicago? Does this count as one of the people who died in Chicago? Does that count as a firearms death?
It was fire and.
It was a mortar, technically. That's what it said. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's in the south of the Northeast Maine.
Oh, this was in Maine. They must have constitutional fireworks.
They talk about the laws where, like, in 1946 or 7 or 9, somewhere in the late 40s, they made it illegal, and then they made it legal again to have it in 2012, and he's the first death in Maine.
Yeah. The part that got me over this whole article was I can appreciate the loss of life. I can appreciate the loss of your son, but to immediately start going out and saying there needs to be tighter laws and needs to be restricted, it's like it's so knee-jerk, and it's like he put a mortar on top of his head. Anybody who's ever lit a firework bigger than a salute knows you don't do that. So whether he thought it was dead or not, he was dumb. Now let's make a law that screws everyone else's 4th of July because he put a mortar on his head.
According to her, he was, quote, goofing off and believed the firework couldn't ignite. And he was drinking.
All good. I mean, how did this happen?
The loss of life, sure. Tragic, absolutely. But Darwinism at work, yeah, probably some of that too. I'll say it.
All right, so I gotta give a shout out again to Kenny and Coy. These two guys have been helping create the show notes for every episode of This Week in Guns, and we have tons and tons of articles in here, and we're starting to break them up via categories, and of course we have the full auto news segment, but we have shootings and outbreaks. You guys
I saw one that I wanted to read, but I mean, unless somebody else really wants to do it.
Go ahead, Peter.
Where did it go? Where's the British guy?
Oh,
Jake does this shell game with articles, man.
Did you delete it?
It's in full auto. We'll cover it there. How about any of these other ones?
You moved it. It wasn't there. It was.
It was
in the shoot. Yeah, okay.
So for those at home that don't see what's happening, we go off a list of notes that has articles so we can all follow along and keep track. And Jake, behind the scenes, if something's going too long, will start rearranging things so none of us are like, where's my place? Because Jake just decides, hey, we're going to deal with this later. And then we all get screwed up. That's what we're talking about right now.
Because I actually prepared for this one.
Yeah, that's usually when he gets you. That's why I don't even read them anymore until we're here. You go online.
You're part of the problem here, Whitey. I'm just calling you.
Don't move the articles, Jake.
Okay.
Okay.
You do one since you move them all around.
Okay, but I didn't want to be a victim. Retired Marine thwarts store robbery. So this happened at inside a 7-Eleven. So he went into the store restroom, and he noticed that the cashier had his hands in the air, and he said, or he came out of the restroom, noticed the cashier had his hands in the air, and he said a man was standing in front of the cashier holding onto something that looked like a gun in his blazer pocket. So, he said a lot of things ran through his head, but most of all, he didn't want to be a victim. So it shows him sneaking down one of the aisles in Savannah. I guess there was a video of this to get behind the robber, and then he lunged for the man's arm to try to grab what he thought was a gun and pushed him against the wall. And he told the man to stop moving, and when he didn't follow directions, he pinned him to the ground, and he restrained him until police arrived. So, I mean, that's all about having the mindset, I'm going to take control of this situation, is what he decided. there was a bad guy between him and the exit, and he decided to take care of things. So
I often wonder what I would do in a scenario like that, and where it's like you have the choice to because if you're deployed, you don't really have the choice. Like, oh, there's something going on, I'm just gonna not do anything. Like he could have just went back in the bathroom and went like this and waited, Like I'm always like because I couldn't carry a gun on campus, so I'd be like, if there's a shooting, am I gonna try to do something active and save people's lives, or am I gonna be like, I'm saving my own life? It's these college kids' turn to fight for their lives. I don't know what I really honestly don't know, because sometimes in my brain I'm like, yeah, I would Superman it. And then other times I'm like, dude, I would just run and zigzag and push girls off their bike and steal and whatever. So I don't know what I actually would do. But this dude was he didn't have a gun either. That makes it even harder. So it's harder than you think to do that stuff.
Ohio teachers train to carry guns in schools. I think I have an autoplay ad here. Stand by.
Stand by. Gun.
So this is in Northeast Ohio, where they're training some employees to learn how to confront a potential school shooter and eliminate the threat.
Whoa.
You jumped way down.
Gotta get moving. We got too much to cover.
Jeez, now it's all
we have too much to cover, but you had to put in the article about Kim Kardashian. How did that make the cut?
I thought we skipped that one. Why are we going back to
I don't know.
Let it die.
Was she wearing Dunkmans or Jordan 26, whatever?
Make him stop.
So I guess part of the course that they're running the teachers through are they're handling topics that include shooters' mindsets, safe gun handling, medical care, and the course ends on the shooting range where participants must pass a strict qualification test.
Huh. But can they carry guns in Ohio in the school? The teachers?
Yeah, it says that they estimate that dozens of staff already are armed at Ohio school districts, and now they this course I guess they're offering is a free course to school employees and to many other district staff. So that's pretty cool.
I think
it's neat.
Just the option.
There's a lot of simple things you can do that if you just were aware of it in a situation like that. They could I know it's just such a cliche thing to say, but save lives. Just the application of a tourniquet or pressure to a wound or clearing airways. This is the basic things till first responders get there, or certain things you could do just to make yourself just slightly safer, even if you didn't have a firearm in a scenario like that. That most normal people, I don't say normal, but most people don't think of. But when you have training in law enforcement or military, it's you're taught that. And it's almost in your a rhetoric, but that most people don't ever think about through the normal course of the day. And just for somebody who's a teacher who never had access to that information, this is awesome to just it literally is saving lives. I think that it could. It's pretty neat.
Well, you shopping on Amazon makes this program possible. Check out our Amazon affiliate banners on thisweekinguns.com, and you can also bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. So if you're shopping online for personal stuff, maybe you're at work, maybe your place of business has you purchase things on Amazon, head on over to This Week in Guns first. Click our Amazon affiliate link, and a small portion of every sale goes to help supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. So we are to the full auto news segment. Finally, right?
Yeah.
No, I had two prepped, and then we started jumping all over the place. Now I got to go look at the full auto section. You're killing me, Jake. Who preps these again? You said you have like assistants that do this now?
Kenny, they have names. They have names of real people. Kenny and Corey.
I know you said it once, like in passing. Why didn't I remember that? I'm such a jerk.
Why aren't they on the show right now with us?
So this is stories the real media won't talk about and other crazy stuff.
There was such a female theme going on too.
This is where we each pick a story to call our own. So Peter, why don't you go ahead and cover your veteran one?
Yeah, that's. How did you know I was going to pick that one? Oh yeah, I said it. So like, this guy's from Britain. I first got the hint because they said pensioner, and so he's a dude was in the army in World War II, so he's 88 years old right now, and two 19-year-old kids came to his door and cursed at him and tried to get money from him, and they had a 6-inch knife, and he just punched them in the chest, and then they ran away. And there's pictures of him, like, you know, when he was 19 in the military right there, and there's a picture of him, like, with his fists up. They're like, hey, you know, take a picture with your fists up, and, you know, he's only 5'4" and weighs, they didn't even give it in, he weighs how many stones? He weighs in stones. I don't know. It's irrelevant because nobody knows how much a stone weighs. He's like 16 pounds or something like that. But he weighs just 9 stones, guys. All right? So.
All
that
right.
was awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty.
14 pounds.
It's 14 pounds, says Siri. One stone is 14 pounds.
And he weighs 9 of them. So
yeah. It's 9 times 14.
Yeah, like 130 something.
126. You're close. It's that metric. Yeah. It's that metric tape measure.
I was rounding.
Oh, up. Positive.
All right, Adam. Do you have one?
Yeah. So I'm sure some of the listeners have heard about this earlier, but this dude's got some pretty big brass ones, if you ask me. Man poses as armored truck employee, walks out of Walmart with $75,000. This dude dressed up like an armored car person, walked into Walmart, told him he was there to pick up the deposit, and they gave it to him. He signs for it and walks out the front door and vanishes with $75,000.
It's an inside job.
Yeah, well, I would. That's a fair point. It very well could have been. It also could have been an employee of another Walmart, maybe, who had some idea of how this stuff goes down. Because I can't imagine anybody just coming off the street would say, "Hey, here's a good idea. I'm going to dress up as an armored truck employee, walk in here, say I'm here for the pickup, pick it up, and walk out the front door without having some kind of requisite knowledge."
Well,
you have to know there was a pickup.
Don't they do that right at the customer service area though?
Sure.
So I mean, if you're standing in line for customer service, you could see that whole transaction happen.
I guess, but either way, that's still pretty ballsy, man.
Is it a Black Hawk vest?
Dude's definitely, if he gets caught, dude's definitely going to jail.
Yeah, that's like federal stuff.
Got the gear and everything off Amazon. I mean,
probably bought it in the sporting goods section of Walmart. He probably bought it all there, went to the bathroom and changed.
I could have sworn I read the article where he was a former employee of either the truck company or of Walmart.
I thought he was still at large, isn't he?
Did they identify him? Because if they identified him, I don't see how he's going to get away with it.
You boys like Mexico?
It's 75 G's is not that. That's not that much money to go to jail forever.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not chump change, but it certainly ain't gonna make you rich for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found that pretty. That takes some guts to just walk in the front door and do something like that. But I don't know.
Ballsy.
So we'll see. I bet he'll end up in the news again.
Oh, it says, here's another article. Investigator, Walmart manager helped suspect disguised as armored truck driver steal $75,000.
Yeah.
Walmart manager also goes to jail.
This has inside job written all over it.
It says Walmart store manager and his stepdaughter played key roles in allowing a man disguised as an armored truck driver to walk into the store and stroll out with $78,000. They now say. So yeah, they
Well,
are.
interestingly, Walmart probably has more cash on hand than most banks.
Yeah.
Especially Walmarts with banks in them.
It's a lot easier to work, though. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Work is
Yeah.
not that bad. I just don't get it. I mean,
But yeah, the guy's still at large as far as I can tell.
I want to commit armed robberies, like, just because I'm bored, not because I need the money. Just be like, yeah, this is great.
Someone mute his microphone before he goes to jail.
Is that illegal to say? No, it's not illegal. I want to.
Quick, make Peter Palma masks.
That would be awesome.
Oh, I know what I'm doing for Shadow.
But look, he said on this podcast.
I need a big zoot suit.
There'd be a soundbite. There'd be a GIF soundbite.
Go to patriotpatch.co. We now have Peter Palma masks. All right, Josh, what do you have?
I have another female-themed article, because I'm noticing a lot of female theme in this. I'm starting to think Kevin pawned this off on his wife, possibly, but home invasion victim changes her mind about guns. This is a cool story on some levels because it's home invasion, which allegedly is up this year. And, this is somebody who's not a big gun supporter. And what happened was she was on her couch, husband sleeping, in bed, and she thought, I guess it was her son at the door. She went to get it up, and the whole thing kicked off the hinges. There's a whole bunch of tussle. Husband's up. He starts fighting. Somebody got hurt. She got her husband's gun, which, mind you, looks like a Ruger Mark II, and shot one of the guys. She said she just unloaded in his back, and he died in the front yard. So it's a cool story because, now she's like, you know what? Why don't I have a gun? Because clearly it works, And so you have somebody who's converted from anti-gun to pro-gun. You have someone who's a lot more aware of their surroundings and defensibility of their home. You also have somebody proving that 22 LR can actually kill people, and everyone's a winner except for the guy in the pool in the front yard.
The pool of blood, or just a regular pool?
Hey, your words, not mine.
The kiddie pool. He fell into the kiddie pool
of blood.
All right.
Because the article that I was going to talk about before that ties to is the down in your neck of the woods, Peter, the girl who gets choked out and whatnot by her boyfriend gets shot in the junk, and it's on the View. Like, why didn't you just use a bat? I love how it's like always the people that were never there that have the best idea you should have did. So, but I digress. Good story.
I'm gonna look at that one. Shot in the junk. Which one's that?
In the junk, in the groin, hopefully with a caliber. Putting your hands on a female and she didn't ask you to. That's crazy.
All right, I'm going to go with the tanks found in the basement of the house in Germany.
What?
It's World War II tank. That's right. A tank found in this dude's basement.
And anti-aircraft gun.
Yeah. So a 1943 vintage Panther tank, so that the Army struggled 9 hours to get this thing out of this guy's basement. And they had to end up building their own custom ramp to get the thing out. But yeah, this guy, he was 89 years old, or no, 78 years old.
He drove the tank into there when he was 17 after the war too.
Right.
I'm joking.
He's like, it looks like we're losing. Screw it. I'm driving my tank home.
Into my basement.
But yeah, it says police raided this guy's house under instructions from prosecutors who suspected that the 78-year-old owner held weaponry that was illegal under a law controlling the possession of instruments of war.
How did this even come up? How are they even alerted to his presence? Was he just one day out back, just drank too much?
It looks
told his neighbors, like, hey, by the way, I got this awesome tank in my
No,
basement.
so this is where it gets really good, though, is that
Yeah.
prosecutors in Kiel were alerted to the existence of the weapons by authorities in Berlin, who had previously searched the villa for stolen Nazi art around a month earlier. So a month before this, they were like, no,
They found
no,
the tank.
that's not a painting, no, no. All right, you're clear. What's that in the corner? Oh,
Tank.
no big, just a panther. Why not? Just a panther tank.
There's no art in it,
Oh,
though.
where's the check on that? Yeah. Is there any art there?
It's
He said he was-
non-functional. It's a replica.
He said he was tooling around it in a snowstorm in '78. That's
Yeah,
like, he
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
even shy about it. This is great. It's like, we were there for art, okay? We'll figure out
mean,
the panther tank later.
I don't like people taking away people's tanks, but it seems like this dude was like a Nazi sympathizer, so I mean, it's whatever. I don't
I
really
know dudes like stuff that aren't sympathizers. They like history.
Yeah, oh yeah, but this I don't
He's in
think
Germany.
he had Nazi art and stuff. Come on, he's that dude at the gun show that has all the Nazi stuff.
He is in Germany. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a twofer right there. So.
Yeah.
All right, Peter, do you want to pick another one?
Let's see. What other one did I see that I liked? I actually have up. No, but I do want to read this real quick. Do we have like 2 minutes or 3 minutes?
Did you prepare something ahead of
Yeah.
time?
No, it just brought up to me. This is the best book I've ever read. It's called The Deadliest Men, the world's deadliest combatants throughout the ages. Anyways, each chapter is a different person, and this one is on Nancy Hart. It's only 2 pages long, so stick with me. It's about a mother, right? Nancy Hart never achieved the renown of her cousin Daniel Boone, but she certainly rivaled him in resourcefulness and audacity. She was born in about 1735 and married Benjamin Hart while in her teens. They had 8 children and lived in their settlement on Broad River in northern Georgia. Benjamin didn't worry when he left Nancy home alone with the children. She was 6 feet tall, muscular, hot-tempered, and an excellent shot who covered one wall of their log cabin with antlers of the deer she had shot. She also smoked a pipe and was cross-eyed. The Cherokee who lived nearby nicknamed her Wichita, or War Woman. Benjamin joined the Georgia militia when the American Revolution broke out in 1776. Nancy served as well, and she crossed the Savannah River on a homemade raft to infiltrate the British garrison at Augusta, and posing as a half-wit, which is retard, gathered valuable intelligence concerning troop strengths and disposition. She also spied on British camps under the pretext of selling eggs. Her activities aroused some suspicion, and Tory informant crept upon her cabin, spying on her. When her son told her that a man was looking in the window, she quickly turned from her stove and tossed a ladleful of hot lye on the man's face, then tied him up and turned him over to Patriot forces. Lye is what in Fight Club when he like kissed his hand and like poured the lye on it, burned. That's lye. So it was horrible. One day while her husband was away, she and only her 12-year-old daughter, Sarah, was with her. 6 loyalists or Tories came to her cabin demanding food. Previous raids had stripped the farm of its livestock, but these soldiers shot her one remaining turkey and ordered her to cook it. As Hart grudgingly prepared the meal, Tories leaned their brown-bust muskets against the wall and sat at the table. They were in good humor, boasting they just killed Colonel John Dooley, the Hart's nearest neighbor and good friend. Containing her rage, Nancy quickly planned her vengeance. She sent Sarah to the spring to get water, whispering to blow the alarm on the conch shell that was kept there for these emergencies. Hart then put on her most hospitable manner and made sure the visitors were well supplied with corn whiskey. They grew increasingly relaxed. While some of the soldiers were distracted, Hart knocked some of the mud chinking from between the logs in the wall. Then, as she returned to the kitchen area after pouring a round of drinks, she surreptitiously picked up one of the muskets and slipped it through the hole. She did this 4 times so that there were only 2 muskets left in the house by the time one of the Tories realized what she was doing. As he lunged towards her, Hart snatched up a musket and shot him, and then picked up another and held it against the group. Because she was cross-eyed, the soldiers were confused at whom she was looking at. She can't get all of us with one shot. Rush her, ordered the leader. Hart shot him. As the others hesitated for a moment, Sarah rushed in and handed her mother one of the muskets that had been thrust through the wall. Hart covered the men until her husband came back with several members of the local militia. He suggested shooting them all, but she responded that shooting was too good for them, and she insisted they be hanged. Because the British still controlled the part of Georgia, Hart's deeds was kept in secret until after the war, and most historians only considered it a legend. It was It was not given credence until 1912 when workers constructing the Ilberton Eastern Railroad line discovered an unmarked grave in the vicinity of the old hard cabin containing the remains of 6 men. Boom.
That's awesome.
Mothers with guns. They used to be like that. I don't know why it's just now coming around. They should all have them. So you can shoot members of your oppressive government and bury them in an unmarked grave. That's why we have the Second Amendment.
Here we go.
Oh man, that was interesting.
You made it so long this time too.
Well, that's yeah. I think that brings us to end of the show. History Corner with Peter returning next week to a podcast near you. Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/week if you'd like to crowdfund This Week in Guns. Easy way for you to support the program. You can pledge your support $1 or $5 per episode to keep programs like this coming at you. And we also have a Firearms Radio Network wide Patreon monthly program, patreon.com/FRN. Don't forget to go to patriotpatch.co, pre-order the I'm Your Huckleberry patch, morale patch for your cover. And also...
Why would I want a patch that says that? Doesn't even make
I'm
any
your
sense.
Huckleberry. I love you, Jake.
It's been a long day. Okay, so Josh, Four Guys Guns, what's up? What's going on?
Yeah, Huckleberry. So right now, until I'm out of them, we're doing a fire sale on all those Game of Thrones patches. They're $20 for the entire set. So basically, you get 7 PVC patches for $20, and I think I have a little over 70 left, 70 packs. So by all means, go and score them while you can. I don't care what you resell them for. I don't care if you're breaking out, do it. Just get them out of my basement. We do have a bunch of new patches dropping in the near future. I actually just submitted another order, and let's see, members are still on the fence with what we're going to do in the future. We're still working on stuff for it, but it's just not going the way we want. So in the meantime, look for more from the social media outlets, and videos will be picking back up. Follow us on all social media outlets like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook at 4GuysGuns. And that's what we got going on.
Very cool. Yeah, the Iron Throne patch pack, I picked that up. That's a smoking deal for $20. All right, Adam.
Wicked good.
What's going on?
That's a good question. I don't even know. It's all become a blur. We just launched a YouTube channel. We actually launched 2 of them that would be of interest to the viewers here that are firearms related, and then there's a 3rd one that'll be coming that's just general law stuff for Pennsylvania. There's a link to the federal one in the show notes, so you guys can check that out. And there's going to be one based on Pennsylvania-specific firearms law. So feel free to check that out. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you like, don't like. It's a little bit of a new venture for us and another medium for us to connect to you guys, other than just our usual, the blog. Check out the blog, blog.princelaw.com. And for our Facebook Firearms Industry Consulting Group, you can check us out on there. And if you want to follow me for any of my misadventures or see my dog, Mr. Peeves, rain destruction upon the neighborhood by setting the neighboring building on fire, you can follow me at Moose00015 on Instagram. I post pictures of dogs, guns, and whatever else catches my fancy.
Whoa.
Very cool.
Any legal pads? Legal pads? Pictures of legal pads? Pens?
If you want, my legal pad is boring, and the best part, you won't be able to read a thing I wrote on it. I can't even read what I wrote on it, so let's be honest here.
It's in code. Hey, Peter, MS Clean Kits, what's going on?
We just got in our doubles here that are molded. These are the samples, and we're going to do some tweaks to it just to make sure people are happy with it. Like the lid is a little loose. And there's some other minor changes I want to make, but it's coming. So we're going to fulfill the Kickstarter, and you could hear back from all the people who got them on the Kickstarter, see what they have to say about it. And then a part of that is we made this. I don't know if we could see it. This is our own carbon scraper. It's actually made by B5 Systems, and then it's nitrided by H&H nitriding, black nitride. So I think that anything on a gun that's carbon steel should be nitrided. And so I'm trying to nitride as much stuff as possible. But
that carbon scraper is awesome. I saw one of those before.
I tried to make it as simple and as functional as possible. Like it's a mouse trap. It's well thought out, like a mouse trap. Like you really can't improve on it, and it's very simple and it's cheap. And so like I want to undercut my competitors. You know, I tried to get my competitors to actually make products for me and alter their products for me, and they just wouldn't do it or whatever it is. So I just went and did it myself. Guess it's what you do. So.
Absolutely, very cool. Yeah, I just looked at my Kickstarter. I'm like, did I back the double? I can't remember, but I did. So I'll have one coming. That's
and
awesome.
I'll try to we have minimum orders we have to fill. So you guys, I'll try to get some extras to you that you guys can give them away to your listeners and viewers or
awesome
customers or whatever it is. So
Sure. I want you to know that the MS Clean kit goes with me every time I pack a bug-out bag for travel and whatnot.
Yeah, awesome. I've never gotten like stopped on an airplane or anything yet with it, but I'm concerned. I wonder if that would ever give anybody any issues. I don't know. I guess it depends what you have in it. But, well, that's cool.
Very cool. Well, that about wraps us up. Leave your feedback by commenting at thisweekinguns.com/episode, or excuse me, thisweekinguns.com/125. Leave us a review on iTunes and contribute to the show via shopping that Amazon affiliate link. Thank you, Peter. It's been a long time. Hopefully we can have you back sooner.
Yeah, and I don't get to sleep very much, but
it's okay.
Yeah.
We'll take you anyway. Adam, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Hey, thanks for having me again. It's always fun.
And Josh, as always, thank you.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap. We'll see you next week.